We're going to start off by saying good morning.
Good morning.
We're going to try to finish this up today. And I just want to start off by saying, should time heal all wounds, or time should heal all wounds. We see that Esau and Jacob these boys were fighting before they came out their mother's womb. We see them that Jacob tricked his brother. But Esau also played his own part in this by selling his birthright for a bowl of soup. We see that Jacob, when it all came down to after he had stolen his brother's blessing, Esau played his part in it because, like I say, he sold his birthright. But he had to flee from his brother Esau, because this thing had got so bad to where that when it came down to it, this thing hurt Esau. Anytime when you make a man cry, when a man cries, I can tell you when I was working with this guy on my job, and just put this new foreman over me, and I didn't like it. Not only did I didn't like it, I didn't like the way he was trying to treat me, and I bucked against it. I wasn't gonna have it. And the man brought tears in my eyes one day. I told my boss, I said, if you don't get me from around me now. And I know I ain't supposed to think like that. But sometimes people could push your buttons to make you want to do things that you shouldn't do. And I told him, I said, you need to get me away from around him, because if you don't get me away from around him, somebody gonna get hurt. And it didn't matter if he hurt me. When I get like that, I don't care about what you do to me. I'm thinking about what I'm going to do to you. Yeah. And I shouldn't think like that. But God forgive me for that. But this is where it came down to where Esau had got to where tears were running out his eyes. This thing hurt him. Hurt him that his dad blessed his brother Jacob instead of him, and all the trickery that went on with how they did this thing. The mother betrayed the son and all of this. But anyway, it got to where that Jacob, when it came down to it, Esau said, I'll kill him. He done stole my birthright. But I said again, Esau sold his birthright. He played the part in it. He didn't play the part in all the trickery and stuff like that, but he played his part when he sold it. He had like his birthright wasn't nothing. And then Jacob, he had to flee for his life. And not only that, when Jacob left, Jacob went to look for his wife and all of this, because they didn't want Jacob to marry the women, the Hittite women. And so they sent Jacob away, and Jacob was supposed to go and stay for about a few days till Esau had cooled off and had forgot this thing. At first he stayed 30 days. And then this thing ended up being he stayed for 20 years. And so we see that Jacob got over to his uncle Laban. And he met his wife, Rachel, Leah, and Rachel. Because we see that Jacob was getting a little taste of his own medicine by tricking, like he tricked his brother. So Laban tricked him. When he went over to Laban, and Laban said that you are not just serve me for nothing. And Jacob gave him his price. He said, I'll serve you, I'll work for you for 7 years if you give me your daughter Rachel. And the Bible said that this time seemed as though it was nothing to Jacob, because Jacob loved Rachel so much. This time just seemed like it just went by just like that. And when it came time to Laban to give him Rachel, he gave him Leah. He went in to Leah thinking it was Rachel. And when he found out that it wasn't Rachel, he served yet 7 more years to get Rachel. And after he got Rachel, then he had his family, he had his sons, and he had one daughter named Daniel. But he had 6 boys from Leah, I think 2 from one of his handmaids, 2 from the other handmaid, and 1 from Rachel, Joseph. And when it came down to it, God told him that he had taken care of Laban's cattle. And it came down to it where he told Laban, out of all the time that he had been with him, he said, "You changed my wages 10 times. I know I'm paraphrasing all of this till I get up to the point where I'm at now. And you done changed my wages 10 times. And this thing here, it had got to where they told him Jacob had stole all the Laban's cattle and stuff like that there. But Jacob said that I done served you for all this time, and you done changed my wages 10 times. Now, what would be the price now for me to keep serving me? Keep serving you. Give me the ring stock, and see, I don't know what all of this stuff mean about these different of cattle and stuff like that, but everything that was in favor of Jacob, God gave it to him. The ring stock, the bristle, the speckle, all of this stuff, God gave it to Jacob. Because God said, I see how Laban did you. And he rewarded Jacob. And then this thing, the consequence of Laban changed against Jacob. To Jacob had to leave from Laban, and God told him to get out of from Laban and go back home to your kindred. And he had to go back through the land of Eden. And Jacob traveled back through the land of Eden. To the land of Eden, where he had to come through and meet his brother. So we want to pick this thing up. And I know I'm rehearsing some of the things that I went over last Lord's Day, but hey, so be it. In chapter 32 of verse number 1, and Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, "This is God's host." And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, "Thus shall ye speak unto my lord Esau, thy servant Jacob, saith this, I have sojourned with Laban and stayed there until now." He had stayed with Laban from the time he left his mother and father's house. He had stayed 20 years to that point in time. And I have oxen and asses, flocks, and men servant and women servant, and I have sent to tell my Lord that I may find grace in thy sight. And the messenger returned to Jacob, saying, "We came to thy brother Esau, and also he cometh to meet thee, and 400 men with him." Now, this is the first time that Jacob tried to appease his brother by sending messages to him to give him gifts and stuff. But it seemed like to me when I was reading this, Esau didn't receive none of it. And I really think that Esau was just trying to get a chance to be able to just see his brother. Then Jacob was greatly afraid in verse number 7. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and divided the people that was with him, and the flocks and herds and the camels into 2 bands. And he said, if Esau come to the one company and smite it, then the other company which is left shall escape. And Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham. Jacob was getting ready to pray to God about his brother Esau, because Jacob said, I'm afraid of him. Well, Jacob is still thinking about the way he had did his brother 20 years ago. You still thinking about it. And Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, the Lord which saidest unto me, return unto thy country and to thy kindred, and I will deal well with thee. I am not worthy of the least of all the mercies and all the truth which thou hast showed unto thy servant. For with my staff I passed over this Jordan, and now I am become 2 bands. Deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he will come and smite me, and the mothers with the children. And thou saidest, I will surely do thee good, and make thy seed as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. God, if he killed me, how can you do this? If he harmed my wives and my children and stuff like that, if he come and destroy them, how are you going to do this, God? Deliver me from Esau. Deliver me, Lord. Brother KJ, read for me verses 13 through 17.
He commanded the foremost, saying, when Esau my brother near thee, and asketh thee, saying, whose art thou, and whither goest thou, and whose are these before thee?
Hold on. Yeah, the next 3 verses.
And then thou shalt say, stay be thy servant Jacob. It is the present set unto my lord Esau, and behold, also he is behind him. So command he the second and the third. And all that followed the drove, saying, on this manner shall we speak unto Esau when he is behind him. Say ye moreover, behold thy servant Jacob is behind him. And he said, I will appease him with the present that goes before me. Afterward I will see his face, for the country of people except him.
After all of this, it seemed like he said, if you find Esau, present these gifts to him. Now I don't believe they found him, because because when Esau finally met his brother, Esau didn't want nothing. But anyway, he said, if you find him, present these gifts. He's trying to appease his brother to with these gifts, because Jacob still feels guilty about what happened 20 years ago. He's going to try to appease his brother with these gifts. Brother William, read the next 5 verses for me.
destroyed the present over before him, and himself lodged that night in the company. And he arose up that night and took his 2 wives and his 2 women servants and his 11 sons and passed over before Jebah. And he took them and sent them over the brook and sent over that he had. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of day. And he saw that he prevailed not, and when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, as he wrestled with him. And he said, let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. Keep on.
Next 2 verses.
And he said unto him, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed.
Jacob, your name ain't gonna be called Jacob no more, but Israel. For Jacob you are, for your name shall be called Israel. For Jacob, you a prince now, and you have favor with God and with men. But Jacob is trying to put his wives and his children in a position that if Esau come and attack him, that his family will survive. He's looking out for his family and everything the best he could, and hoping and praying that his brother won't attack him. Brother Daniel, 39 through 29 through 32.
And Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, wherefore it is that thou dost ask after my name. And he blessed him. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel. Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. And as he passed over Peniel, the sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh. Therefore the children of Israel eat not of the sinew, which shrank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh. And to this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh in the sinew that shrank.
Jacob wrestled with this man all night. Jacob was intended for him to get a blessing, and he was blessed. Because he said at the breaking of the day, he said, and Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God's face to face, and my life is preserved. God is going to spare Jacob's life. He didn't know what kind of thought and everything, what kind of position that his brother might, what mindset his brother might be in, because his brother is coming with 400 million. Now, you kind of do some damage with 400 million. That's a little small honor, but if they train right and everything and put it in the right position, hey, you can do some damage with 400 million. And Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau came with his 400 men, and he divided the children unto Leah and unto Rachel and unto the 2 handmaids. And he put the handmaid and their children foremost, and Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph hindermost. And he passed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. He given reverence to his brother. He given him respect. It was one of the scriptures when his dad had blessed him. He said, "Father, do you have yet a blessing for me?" And he said, "I done gave it. He done gave it, blessed his brother." He said, "And his brother shall be blessed." But he said, "It's going to come a time when you shall have the dominion, and you shall take his foot off of your neck." Well, now I believe this is the time, because Jacob is going before his brother, and he's showing homage to his brother. He bowing down, and he at least he's out in the front of his family. And just like Brother Jackie said, if some come into your house and go to hurt your family, the man ain't supposed to send the wife to meet the aggressor that's coming. That man's supposed to get up and go and defend that. If a man don't defend his house, boy, something wrong with it. I'll say it again. If a man don't defend his house, something is wrong with it. But this is the part where, when I read it, it brought tears to my eyes. Because Jacob didn't know the mindset of his brother, and what his brother was going to do, or nothing like that. He didn't know. But he done said all kind of gifts before him, all of these animals and stuff. I mean, he was trying to appease him. He didn't send no little stuff. Now he was sending stuff to where, hey, I'm trying to show you, brother, that I mean you no harm. And Esau ran to meet him and embraced him, and fell on his neck, and kissed him, and they wept. Don't tell me time can't change things. I remember my mother-in-law used to say, "There's two things that'll change things." She said, prayer and pressure. And she said, prayer and pressure will change things. With time will too. If you let it do what it's supposed to do. It's been 20 years since these boys haven't seen one another. And yeah, some things that happened in between this time, yeah, it was bad. But Esau, the one that they did the wrong to in my eyes, but God said the older is going to serve the younger, but it was the way they did it. They wronged him, and the one that was wrong, he went to meet the one that had wronged him. He ran and fell on his neck and embraced him and kissed him, and they wept. And sometimes we'll sit by here and God done gave us the time to get something right what you have with your family, with your friends, with your in-laws and everybody else, and you sit there and you want to hold this thing for till the day you die, and die with it. And he done gave you time. He done gave you time. It don't matter what somebody else do, it's what you do. You try to make it right. And if they don't accept it, that's on them then. But you done got this thing off of your plate. I say it, and I say it over and over again. Forgiveness is not weakness. And forgiveness don't bound you. Forgiveness sets you free. Jesus said, if you don't forgive, he ain't gonna forgive you. Now, who do you want to forgive you? Because all of us, when it comes down to it, we gonna want some mercy. Amen. We gonna want mercy. And I'm gonna read this before I get too far ahead of myself and forget about it. In verse number 10. Chapter 33 and verse number 10. And Jacob said, Nay, I pray thee, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then receive my present in my hand. For therefore I have seen thy face as though I had seen the face of God, and thou wast pleased with me. If you see God's face in peace, well, you all right. But if you see God's face and it's against you, and you can't run and you can't hide. But if you see God's face and God welcome you, say, yeah, enter into my joy. Oh man. That's beautiful. Don't tell me time can't heal wounds. If you let it, we're not going to escape. We're not going to escape this life here without getting some scars. Just like I told Brother Jack, I got a scar here on my leg. When that saw hit me, it felt like a little pinch, but it had made a gash. And it was about this deep. It laid it open. I think I don't remember how many stitches, but anyway, it's a scar there. It's a scar here where I had to have this pacemaker put in. It's a little scar, but it's a scar. We're going to get scars in this life. Whether it be inside your home, outside your home, on your job, anybody you have relationships with, you're going to get scars. You're not going to escape it. It's what you're going to do about it. Make the whole thing all right. I have a few more minutes, about 5 minutes. KJ, tell me what's on your mind. You got nothing to say, KJ? Okay. I did, huh? Okay, thank you. You didn't know I was coming there, huh? Brother Wick.
Yeah, as I was thinking about it, you know, to me, he saw this was a full forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when Jacob, because he asked, he said, what is all this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And Jacob said, take it, this is a gift. And he was like, oh, I got enough of this.
He said, yeah.
And that's what we want from God. Like you said, we want full forgiveness. We don't want justice, because if we get justice,
yes, so we in trouble. Brother Jackson.
Good job.
Oh man, come on, man. Oh, Brother Jackson, come on. Big D.
Yes, it's very important point that you made by our, in order for us to be forgiven, we got to be able to forgive.
Mm-hmm.
Christ had in his prayer, you know, forgive us as we trespass against them, and bless us to forgive us those who trespass against us.
Mm-hmm.
Forgiveness is good.
Lil D.
First and foremost, I want to say great job. I caught tail end of the lesson with a great message. It just amazed me that you can battle when, like for instance, the circumstance of battling, you battle to your joint, it gets okay. That's not like dislocation of the hip, but you still battling, and you get those scars, and you like, man, God will bring you through some stuff regardless, you know, the circumstances, and you can endure some pain. say, like that, you gotta forgive in order to be truly healed.
Mhm.
You can't harbor that stuff. That stuff destroys you, that.
But it's letting you know, you're gonna get some scars in this life. You can't avoid it. Well, you might can avoid some of it. But you still gonna get scars. And sometimes them scars run you to your knees. And that, a lot of times, that's the place where you need to be, is on your knees. But yet it's still, they hurt. They hurt. Don't tell me the scars don't hurt. Anytime you go to crying and stuff like that, and you crying so hard, your nose running, you're slobbing all out the mouth and everything, that hurt. Yeah, it hurt. But who was hurt more than Jesus? Who was hurt more than Jesus? And he bared it all for us to have an opportunity to be with him, to hear him say, well done, the good and faithful servant. Who was hurt or scarred more than him? So these little scars and stuff we going through, they ain't doing nothing but preparing us to let us know that, hey, let that stuff roll off like water. Sometimes you just gotta look people in the face and know that they be done saying something or did something to you that don't make sense. But you gotta let it go. Brother James Thomas.
This wasn't no outside, like someone hurt you. Hear a lot of people say blood is thicker than mud. They say even in the wounds, these two brothers was fighting.
Mm-hmm.
They came out, and you see how they done one another, stole his birthright, borders, and hated, but yet it's still to say what can't be done. These two brothers, one had to make up for what he had done. And he gave all that he had, to his brother, to try to get back on to him, because he saw it coming and he ran and embraced him and kissed him. And out of all of these things that he gave, like you say, time heals all wounds. And he was trying to heal you with his brother. Because from the foundation, from the giddy up, they was fighting. Even in the mother's womb, he was out there. So today you see like your brother, it don't matter who hurt you, it's how you gonna feel about it, what you gonna do about this. Because it said two wrongs don't make a right. You got to even turn the other cheek, So it's a good lesson, brother.
And also, when I seen that God told him, say, man, you gotta go back home. And he sent him back to where his brother at. God could have sent him around there. God sent him back through there. Go make this thing right with your brother. It's been 20 years. It's time now, because God had worked on Esau too. He didn't only work on Jacob. He worked on his brother. And when his brother saw him, that thing brought tears to my eyes. Jacob might have thought he was coming to try to kill him or whatever, but he ran and he fell on his neck and embraced him and kissed him. He missed him over all this time. Don't tell me time can't heal. It'll do what it's intended to do. If you and I let it. That's my lesson.
Ring the bell.